Okay, we are ready for Learning Love, devotional number 20. And devotional number 20 is the lie of recognition versus insignificance or significance. And we just went through the devotional on feeling insignificant, which both my sister and I definitely relate to. And I just took this a little bit further because in my experience, that feeling of insignificance has led to this other desire, which is not healthy in my opinion. Okay. So I'm sure that my early experiences as one of the youngest children in a large household contributed to my feelings of insignificance. Our house was a bit chaotic with all those people, and it was easy to go unnoticed. Besides, our parents weren't the greatest at being present in our lives. Our mom had her own emotional issues, so she wasn't really present for us emotionally. Our dad worked a lot and seemed angry all the time when he was there, and they fought a lot. So going unnoticed was the safest course of action. If you're not noticed, then you won't get in trouble, right? If you stay out of everybody's way, then you're safer, basically, is the idea. But because we did that, many of our emotional needs went unfulfilled. So early abandonment and neglect issues can exacerbate feelings of insignificance. Everyone longs to belong. You need to know that you matter and that your presence adds something. Someone needs what you bring to the situation. However, in longing for significance, I've realized that I've unconsciously started looking for recognition. So recognition shows up when I quietly desire to be called out for my skills and talents. But it really isn't a good thing. For example, I have a good singing voice, and it was probably all those years of Christian school choir training that molded that. But I seemed to have a need to be noticed for the way I sing. It's not something I consciously seek, but these thoughts intrude themselves. Thoughts like, if the right person hears me sing, then they will ask me to be on the worship team. If I'm singing at church and, I'm behind the right person and they can hear how good a voice I have or that I can harmonize, then I'll be invited to be on the worship team, right? Feels good to be complimented. But because of my desire to be recognized, I have had to fight the urge to sing just to be heard, just so someone will hear me and recognize me, rather than singing at church because I want to be part of that worship experience and worshiping God. And I have fought this battle on many fronts. I do feel like I'm much improved since I originally wrote this, but it was definitely something I dealt with at that time, especially when I started writing books or blogs or whatever. I started to dream about people in my life. When are they going to notice? And then they're going to say something. They're going to recognize me, right? It feels good imagining what they will say. But even when the compliments do come, the reality of being recognized is very different than the expectations, and it really doesn't satiate my craving for recognition. Any feeling they bring is fleeting, and I continue to long for the next compliment. It's a crazy cycle, and I desperately tried to hop off that hamster wheel that it kept me on. I recognized that I was doing it. I knew it was bad, and I needed to figure out how to get off. So the early emotional neglect in my life left me starving for attention. I was attention seeking. And I have sought recognition as a way to validate myself. It's as if I don't know my own worth unless someone else validates me. But God created me with worth and value, and I should not need to look any further than what God says about me to be grounded in my worth. The lie here is that if I am not recognized, that I am not significant. If you don't notice me, if you don't say anything, if you don't compliment me, then it's as if I don't exist. I'm not, I have no significance unless somebody else comes up and recognizes me. It's one way that I still operate as an orphan, as even though I have been adopted as a daughter of God. This is something that when I realized that I did this, it's like, why am I still acting like this? God's adopted me. God has said I am his child. And if I'm a child of God, then I don't need somebody else to come up and recognize me and value me or show that I have worth, because I have worth because God says I have worth. All right. Sometimes it feels like felt like I've been passed over. Sometimes it felt like no one noticed me, my skills, my contributions. Sometimes it's just a whisper of my heart that cries, notice me, notice me. And I realized that this is a false dichotomy. Recognition does not equal significance. It is actually a false sense of significance. It does not last. And so I find myself looking for the next moment of recognition. Even more importantly, not being recognized does not mean that I am not significant. I have worth and value, not only because God has given me gifts that can be used to build up the body of Christ, but also simply because I am his child. He delights in me, and he is delighted by me. I simply have to remind myself of that. Even though the following verses are talking about the city of Jerusalem, I don't mind appropriating them and applying them to myself, because I know that in the New Testament, I, as part of the church, am called the bride of Christ. So these verses come from Isaiah 62. Never again will you be called the forsaken city or the desolate land. Your new name will be the city of God's delight and the bride of God. For the Lord delights in you and will claim you as his bride. That's in Isaiah 62, verses 4 and 5, the New Living Translation. You need a new name. The old titles of broken, wounded, and suffering need to be replaced. You are the Lord's beloved, and you need to begin to claim that. All right, so who do we need to forgive for neglecting our emotional needs and causing a sense of lack in ourselves, not filling up our love tanks so that we knew that we had value? Okay. I am significant even if others don't validate my significance, even if other people don't see that. So that's my rewind. And I'm going to rest in the truth that I am loved and beloved by God. I'm significant because God claims me as his own, and because he has given me gifts and talents that I should be using to bless others. Okay, so here is our respond. Does this resonate with you? Do you feel like you find yourself seeking recognition as a way to feel significant like I did? So what do you want to be recognized for? And how do you respond to compliments? When people compliment you, how are you responding to that? How does that make you feel? Does receiving compliments satisfy your longing for recognition? And then how can you adjust your thinking so that you're getting your validation from who God says you are and not from others recognizing your talents? Okay, that's it for this devotional in Learning Love. We've got 9. Got 9 more to do. 1 through 9. Anyway, we've got a few more to do till we're done. We might take a little bit longer than the end of August because that's coming up very quickly. And we'll try to get through them. We'll get done. Definitely halfway through September, which is had to push back all my timelines. So thank you.